Hi everybody, it's Lauren Brown, also known as Raggedy Royal, on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and now YouTube. And today we're going to be doing this pretty pink base makeup. Yes, we are. We're going to go through the entire base, why I do what I do, what is concealer, what is contour, when do you add blush. Don't worry, we're going to answer all of those questions, and we're going to really be doing the pink blush today. I also will be doing this exact base makeup on my mom, even though my mom does not wear makeup and I do not do makeup on others. So, hope you enjoyed that video. I'll probably be posting at the exact same time. And yes, let's get right into the video. Before that though, if you like this video along the way, you just like liking videos, you enjoy me, you enjoy the makeup, please give it a like and subscribe down below because we are inching. No, it's more than an inch now. We're like footing. Anyways, we're getting close to 50,000 subscribers, okay? So thank you so much for being here and let's get right into the base tutorial. Okay, so let's get into this base. Step one starts before you even come into the makeup room, before you even grab a brush, and that's moisturizing, right? So you want to make sure that you have a nice moisturized base. It's going to help your makeup go on smoothly. So I already used some moisturizer, and I only use Cetaphil moisturizer. They sell it at Target, and that's what I put on my face today. Now, let's start with step 1A, which is priming the skin. So today I'm going to be using the Makeup Forever Step 1 Primer Hydra Booster. And I like a hydrating primer because I have normal to dry skin. So a mattifying primer is not gonna do me any favors. And I like to put the primer on the back of my hand and then take my fingers and kind of just dot that all around the face. Now, controversial conversation. Is primer absolutely necessary? I'm going to take this EXO Cosmetics 102 brush, just a big old stipple brush, and blend in this primer. Not even blend it in, more like just spread it around the face. But, controversial question. Is primer absolutely necessary? I think you could definitely do the base without primer, but I will not say that it doesn't make a difference. It does make a difference depending on what type of primer you have. Like I said earlier, if you have oily skin, maybe you'll go for that mattifying primer, and that would make a difference in keeping, your face from becoming too oily and your makeup from sliding around. Maybe you have drier skin like moi, and you're like, oh, no, that hydrating primer gives me some moisture underneath my foundation. So whichever formula you use, I think it does make a difference. It does make a difference. Now, does it make a difference in the long wear of makeup? Now, that's debatable. That's debatable. I think setting powder and setting spray do way more in that area. Okay, so the face is primed. Now we're going to move on to foundation. I always like to use a mix of a foundation and a tinted moisturizer. One, because finding my exact color has always been a little bit of a struggle. And two, because the tinted moisturizer, right? So you're going to be using the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer. I've used this before in other base videos. This one looks a little bit different because this is their oil-free. So the formula is slightly different, but the exact same shade as always, which is 4W1 Tawny. Now, the thing about a tinted moisturizer is it's not very opaque. Opaque meaning that it is very high coverage. It's not very high coverage at all. And then foundations, I find them to be super high coverage. And I'm like, I need to break that up a little bit. So I always use a mix of a foundation and a tinted moisturizer for my base, for my foundation. And so for the foundation today, I'm going to be using the Makeup Forever HD Skin Hydra Glow in 2N22. And I will say this one is kind of close to my skin color, like by itself. But you see, they're slightly different. I like the way that they mix together. I actually got this shade when I went to the Makeup Forever party, and they did live shade swatching, which is some of the most helpful things I've ever seen at an event. So it's kind of close, but I still like to cut it with that tinted moisturizer. I'm going to put that on the back of my hand. I'm going to take my finger, dip it in just like we did for the primer, and I'm going to dot that around my face. I do foundation on the forehead. Another thing that is controversial, because some people are like, no foundation on the forehead. You can tell there's no foundation before. Like, it's not like it's a thing that's like, oh, it's not gonna make a difference. It makes a big difference. I don't know why people were like trying to push that for a little while. Put foundation on your forehead. I'm gonna be taking this Real Techniques buffing brush. And I'm just going to be buffing that in, blending that in. I like to make sure I get underneath my nose because I get really red right there. It's like the only part of my face that gets like weirdly colored. Also, I don't have hair on my head anymore. I have like a teaspoon of hair. Teaspoon, scoop, all of the above. So I have to really make sure that I go a little bit underneath the face and a little on to the neck now. Because sometimes when I had hair, I was neglecting that. But then the other day I was in church and I was just thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, the man behind me is probably, like from the back, this probably looks crazy. Probably looks crazy. Because the foundation is like one shade, one texture, and then your neck, yeah. So I like to, you know, make sure that that's extended onto the neck. Not too much now though. I'm not going down here. But on the parts of my head that are now visible because there used to be hair there and there isn't. Yeah. Back where the tattoos are. Yeah. And blending in. Now, when it comes to the forehead, we need to clean up the brows. If you want to know how I did my brows, I did them very, very quick and easy. I have a very quick and easy fluffy brow tutorial. I did the exact same thing here. And yes, I did my brows already. Since they're already done, I'm going to show you how I clean them up. I'm going to take this Morphe M410, it's just a flat brush. And I am going to use that foundation mixture on the back of our hand. And I like to just make it nice and precise. And then I swipe the excess away from the brow so that no excess gets onto the brow hairs because that's exhausting. Do the same on the other side. And since we're not doing eyeshadow today, I'm going to go right underneath the brow as well with that excess on that brush. And just kind of clean that up. Yes, finish blending this out on the forehead. Before I move on to concealer, I kind of want to get a little bit deeper into the reason for foundation. So foundation is going to give you that very flat base. As you can see, there is redness here. There is natural chisels and natural shadows and highlights of your face. If you look at my face with no makeup, there will be like a jawbone here and it's a little bit darker. You have a natural shadow there. Foundation is going to cover that all up, okay? This is a blank canvas. That's what foundation is going to do. Now we're going to bring back that definition, bring back those shadows, bring back those highlights with concealer and contour, and that's the reason why we do that. So now just think foundation, clean base. You got everything on one accord. Of course, you can kind of, you know, still see some highlights and shadows and where your bones are, but everything is on one accord, all over the face. Now let's get into concealer. So today we'll be using the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear 24-Hour Concealer. I'm going in with shade Cashew. And this is a concealer that's about 1 or 2 shades lighter than my skin tone. So I'm going to take this and I go on the outside of the outer corner of the eye, right? So I'm going towards my ear. And I'm putting diagonal lines. Some people do dots. I like to do these diagonal lines because I want a lot of product. And sometimes dots doesn't give me a lot of product. I actually was seeing Jackie Anna talk about this the other day. But somebody was asking like, I don't know if they were saying like, how does your makeup stay on? How does it look good? She was like, you have to put it on. Like, you have to put on makeup. Yeah, you're not going to see me do any like, oh, dot here, dot. No, like I need all of the coverage. I need it all to go together. The more you put on, the more you can blend together. You can really make it do what you want it to do. If I only had a little bit of concealer, I'm kind of just dragging that little bit back and forth. And So that's why I like to do those stripes instead of like small dots. So that is the first concealer that I apply. I'm going to use this Real Techniques contour brush, and I'm going to blend that right on out. But underneath that nose again. Oh, now I'm going to go in with my second concealer. This is also the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear 24-Hour Concealer, but this is in shade Oatmeal, and this is a much lighter shade. You'll see it as I apply. The reason why I use this lighter shade is because I'm using it for highlighting purposes. I'm adding it right underneath the inner corners of my eye because I want to attract light to the center of my face here. When you add highlight, whether it's powder highlight, whether it's just a lighter color, on the face, anywhere, whether it's on eyeshadow, whether it's right on the cupid's bow, whether it's on the cheek, that's where you want to attract attention. And I want to attract attention in the eye to the center of the face. So that's why I'm going to use just a little bit of that concealer in just that specific space. To blend it out, I like to use a smaller brush because it's a smaller area. So this is the Morphe M173. I'm gonna blend that out. Now, some people, Now, some people like to let their concealer sit because they want to build the coverage. I don't. Some people like to let their concealer sit for a while before blending it for more coverage. I don't. I haven't seen that it's really made that big of a difference for me. Also, I'm not like, oh, I don't have enough coverage. I think I'm good in the coverage department, so I'm not necessarily looking for more coverage. But that's where I stand on that. And also, if you see any videos of somebody doing it, you're like, I just always wonder why they were doing that. They are letting their concealer sit to, you know, have higher coverage. Nice. Okay, now that is all I do for concealer. I have one concealer that's a darker shade, and that is my primary. That's what I put on first to really start building out that shape. And then I have my lighter concealer, which is to emphasize and attract and highlight the center of my face. Now let's get into blush. So I contour because the contour shade is darker, and when I put blush on after, it gets a little muddy. So today we're going to be using the One Size Cheek Clapper 3D Blush Trio. And so this is a trio. There's a cream blush, a powder blush, and then this is like a highlight. We're going to go in with the cream blush first. When I do my blush, I like to do a two blush approach, okay? We're going to do the cream blush, set the face, and then use a powder blush. So first we're going to start with the cream blush. Color Rain Small Angled Face Brush. I like to use like a stippling brush here, which is different than a powdery brush. You can kind of see the way the bristles move and the way they're packed. I like to use a stipple brush because this is a cream product. So I'm going to go in to the cream blush. Starting at the apple of my cheek, I'm going to go up the face. When I say up the face, I mean towards the ear. I'm very glad that this tutorial is a YouTube tutorial, so you have a visual, so you can see it. But I like to, you know, explain my words as well. So we're going up towards the ear. And this is like the only thing that's different than my other base tutorials, because I usually use a coral or orange blush, but recently I've been into this pink, and so yeah. And I also put blush on the forehead. This is a very, very pigmented blush, so I'm trying not to make it look like, you know, I got a knot on my forehead. So I'm trying to use a lighter hand than you probably seen me use like ever. And that is the beginning of our blush. Let's go to contour. So to contour, I'm going to be using the Makeup Forever HD Skin Face Essentials palette. And this is their deepest shade. So there's a lighter one that I've used in other tutorials, and this is their deeper one, right? You could also use the pinks in here, the berry shades in here if you would like. I'm going to go into these middle brown shades here to contour. And I'm going to be using a Morphe. They're vegan brushes. They're engraved and they're black, and I can never read them. Let's see. A Morphe MV108. I'm going to start at the top of the jawbone, and I'm going with a small circle motion down the jawbone. Oh my gosh. You guys were gonna tell me that my hair is just like curly on the side? We'll fix it for the outro. This is a makeup tutorial, okay? Not a hair tutorial. I'm also going to go on to the temples. This is where this gets a little bit tricky now that I have new hair and it is white, but it's okay. It's like, it's no secret that I have makeup on. So I'm like, if it gets in the hair, then it gets in the hair. You'd be like, oh, why don't you just do your hair after you do your face? But if I brush on my face with wet hair, that's not going to work. But that is how I contour my face. Very, very simple. Why do we contour? So you're going to contour to add back in the depth. So we remember how I said that we added back in the highlights. You know, like we have natural highlights in the face. We added back in highlights. We emphasize that with the light concealer. You're adding back in the shadows and the depth. You're chiseling the face with the contour. That's the entire point of contour. So when people are, you know, contouring their nose, contouring their lips, contouring their cheeks, contouring, some people contour underneath the chin. I don't, because I used to wear collared shirts a lot and it was a mess. So I never went that. But when they do that, they're chiseling, they're contouring, they're adding shadows to create depth and definition on the face. Speaking of contour, we're gonna contour this nose really quickly. Now, I don't have any elaborate like nose contouring skills. Somebody asked, well, most people were like, do a specified nose contouring video. That video will be all of 45 seconds. I'm gonna show you exactly what I do. I'm going to take those shades from before. So the same shades that we used for the face. I'm gonna use this round dome brush. This from BH Cosmetics. It doesn't have a name. I'm gonna go into light, see, light touches. And I'm going to go along the natural shape of my nose. So I'm going down. I'm also gonna go up. You're gonna attach it to the bottom inner corner of the eyebrow. Right underneath this part of the brow. What is this part of the brow called? I know this is the tail. Is this the head? Ooh. This is what really attaches it and makes it, you know, a real thing. I feel like if you only contour the nose from here down, when you turn to the side, like, it's just gonna look cartoonish. It's not gonna give. So you gotta, you know, make sure that you attach that contour and take it into where you are putting. Take it into that bone. This is like a bone right here. You're going along that bone. And then I go underneath the nose, making a V. Grand opening, grand closing. That's it. Really, where I put most work is going back in with that light concealer brush and going along the nose. That's what really solidifies, like, that's what solidifies the contour right there, not the actual adding the dark shade. Yes. We're gonna let that be what it is for right now. We need to set the face. I'm going to be using my Laura Mercier setting powder. This is the big one. I think they sent this for one of their anniversaries like 2 years ago, and I'm still using it. The reason I just did that is that I like to put a little bit of powder in the top. I'm going to be using a ColourPop F31 to apply the setting powder. What is setting powder? Why do we use it? Setting powder is going to mattify the face, right? That's why you use setting powder. I do have a whole setting powder 101 video where I go really in depth with all your setting powder questions. But we're going to mattify the face. And earlier I was saying that people say, oh, you know, does face primer really make your makeup stay? And I was like, I really can't vouch for if it works with the longevity of makeup. more than setting powder and setting spray. Like those two I would think of first before I say, oh, and make sure you have a primer. It's kind of a, you know, it's not making as much noise as setting powder right here. So you add setting powder to lock in the makeup, to set the face. Setting powder does make a difference in face longevity. Also to mattify, right? So you can see some of that texture, some of that gloss, some of that shine, some of that sheen is now gone after we just added setting powder. I like to definitely put some right underneath the eye, where we added that light shade, around the mouth. Okay, that's a lot. This is why we need to look down when we put the brush in the product. And that's how I add my setting powder. I do not bake. So what is baking? Baking is if you add the setting powder and you let it sit for a while. The reason why I do not bake is because I have normal to dry skin. I don't need to lock it in that much, and in fact, it's going to make my face drier, and it's going to emphasize more texture if I add powder and let it sit. However, if you have an oily face, or you have makeup that you really, really want to lock in, then that's when baking would be appropriate. But baking is not for everybody. It was very trendy, and so everybody was like, oh, everybody needs to bake, and you don't need to bake. Sometimes it can be more of a hindrance than a help, depending on what skin type you have. So that's why I don't bake. This is literally how I just apply my setting powder. Is exactly how I apply my setting powder. I'm not going to apply too much right here to this part of the face, and you can tell I haven't added it there because you can see how the light hits it. It is not matte, and the reason why is because I'm going to be adding a little bit of shimmer, a little bit of glow, and the glow and the shimmer and highlight goes onto the face better when it's not on top of setting powder. So that's why I put a lot underneath the eye, but this part of the face I kind of leave alone. I don't put any down here. It just gets weird. I just don't. Okay, so that is how we're applying setting powder, and that is where we are applying setting powder. But we're not done with the setting powder. There's one more thing I'm going to do. I'm going to take this Real Techniques 205 brush, and this is a square foundation brush. I'm going to go into my setting powder, like so, like that, and I'm going to go along the nose. The reason why I will let setting powder sit here after that whole speech about not baking, this is not baking. This is corrective. This is correction right here. The reason why I do this is because I'm not very technical about how I do my nose contour, and the contouring itself can use a little bit of help. Also, sometimes I need to clean it up. Like sometimes I just do too much and it just gets everywhere. So this is like my insurance to, you know, fix the part of my nose contour. This right here saves the day. This is what I was trying to tell y'all. My nose contouring video will be 3 minutes long because all I do is go like this, and do a little V. And then this really saves the day. So I am going to let this sit for like 25 seconds. Wow, that is sitting. Let's add some blush. I'm going to go back into the One Size blush. I'm going to be using, who are you? This is a ColourPop F30. And I'm going to go into, this is Choose Me, Pick Me, Love Me. Okay, so this is Pick Me, and y'all, Patrick. Matter of fact, everybody else who's not Patrick, just, you know, blend something for a couple seconds while I talk to Patrick. Patrick, this blush is so powerful, Patrick. You did your thing with this one. And it's both a blessing and a curse. Not gonna, yeah, it's both a blessing and a curse. I love it, and also it scares me. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna just like go on my hand a little bit, because y'all, it's too powerful to just add it straight to the face. So now that I wiped a little bit off, let's go on to the cheeks. I'm gonna go right on top of where we added that pink from before. I'm gonna go right on top of where we added blush earlier, so onto the apples of the cheeks, up towards the temple, and you can see the difference. Onto the forehead, and on to the nose. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, that was a lot on the nose, but all this is a lot. We'll work on that later. Next, I'm going to open up the Fenty Beauty Fenty Cheek Suede Powder Blush in Wattabrat. And honestly, this is a blush, but I use it more like a highlight because it's so shimmery and fairy light. I'm going to be using a Morphe M510. And I'm gonna add this as well. Honestly, if you ever feel like, oh my gosh, I added way too much blush, what you do is you take that powder brush from before, and you can kind of just like mute it a little bit if you feel like, ah, what have I done? Add that Wattabrat. Now I'm going to go into this ColourPop Pressed Powder Blush in Flamingo. And you can use the same blush brush from before if you want to. I'm going to use one that's just a little bit more tapered. And this is going to be the ColourPop F32. And I'm going to go in to that powder blush there. And I'm going to really concentrate this one and use this one over near the nose. Add a little bit up here as well. And wipe this powder off. If you wonder why I'm adding a little bit of that light pink, that's because sometimes I feel like it's too stark of a contrast between the concealer here and the dark pink here. So adding a little bit of that light pink kind of just, you know, gives a little bit more cohesion and less like tan, pink, you know? Yes, yes. Okay, I'm going to take the NYX Matte Finish setting spray. And honestly, I know it says matte finish, but it's not super like drying and matte. I don't know. I find it kind of refreshing, ironically. I don't know why I'm shaking it up. Don't do that. You're always going to do one spritz out first. Two for good measure. The reason why you do that is because sometimes when you spray out of a setting spray, especially when it's been sitting for a while, the first sprays can be like big gloplets and uneven. You want to make sure it's nice and even. Holding it like, nope, 10 inches away. Spraying it. Now, when you use setting spray, you want to make sure that you douse the face. Why do you want to douse the face? You don't want to do one or two sprays. One or two sprays can leave those little imprints in your face makeup because it's not wet enough. You see what I'm saying? When you really spray 6 or 7 sprays and really douse it, that makes sure that it's nice and even and you don't see those mist particles. You know, like when you're trying to clean something, like imagine trying to clean a window and you're spraying the Windex and you're running out of Windex and it's like comes out splotchy and you have like you know what I'm talking about? You don't want that on the face. So, you want to be generous with your setting spray. If you want to know more about setting sprays, I have a whole setting spray 101 video that you can check out. And we get into all the different types of setting sprays, what to look for in a setting spray, everything. When to apply setting spray, all of that. Yes. I'm now going to use the Estate Makeup Highlighter in Lunar. Use this brush here. This is a Beauty Bay 209 brush. And I'm going to go into it. This is a cream highlight. I prefer cream highlights over powder highlights. I feel like they just give it like a luster that the powder highlights can't compete with. And I'm going to just highlight the nose. I add like one dot here and then a small line up closer to my eyes. Oh, I want y'all to look at my eyes for everybody who asks me, how do I make sure that, you know, there's no under eye creasing? Your under eye has creases. See, look, my under eye has creases. And the world keeps spinning, you know what I mean? I will say there's some things like using setting powder, using concealers that don't automatically crease on you. I will say this concealer does crease more than like some others that I've used. Those are ways to avoid it, but also it's natural. It's okay. There's creasing under the eyes sometimes. It's part of it. Okay, so let me show you this really cool thing that I started doing with my base makeup that I just can't stop doing if I'm not wearing eyeshadow. I took the Lancome Ultra Precise Waterproof Liner and I like doing just a small, like you see this? This is it. There's no wing. This is it. I feel like this gives a very big baby doll effect to the eyes and I love how it looks when I do like a clean base routine. No eyeshadow. It makes a difference. It makes a difference. And I don't know why. I turned the camera off and then, yeah. But literally all I did, took this felt tip liner right here and made a little line. Also, you know, for my girlies and, you know, my guys and everybody else who are like, when I apply lashes, I feel like there's always so much space. Like, this eliminates the space because you're applying it right on top of that black. It blends perfectly. If you want to know how to apply lashes, you can go to my how to apply faux lashes video. I'm also going to add some white in the waterline. I also have a waterline 101 video. I think like I can't really understand how proud it makes me to say like I have videos on other topics, because YouTube was literally such a struggle for me. Like I always was doing makeup. When I first started posting makeup, my cousin was like, do YouTube. And I would have like a video that I'd be working on for months and months and months and like never get it up. Like it was just always like so hard. So now that I have like multiple and I can like say in this YouTube video, hey, go check out this YouTube, like it just makes me proud. But I'm going to take my NYX Jumbo Eye Pencil in Milk as the always. I'm gonna put on this small craft brush from Michaels. I wish I could tell you the name, but doesn't look like that's an option. Any small craft brush will do. And I'm going to add white to the waterline, going adjacent to the eye. Now, I like the white waterline because it opens up the eye. The white waterline, the liner combo, doesn't it give like doll baby? You see it. But because I like putting white in the waterline, right? Here's what I like to do, because sometimes the white in the waterline will get into the tear duct and like migrate and like it'll be a little white over here and be like white over there. Here's what I do. I'm gonna take this small dome brush. This is a ColourPop E28. Into the first white eyeshadow I see. This is just the Beauty Bay Bright 2.0 that was sitting right here. And I'm gonna go into the white eyeshadow and I'm going to blend lightly into the inner corner. That way, if the white starts to move, it starts to like, you know, if you tear up, if you wear to church and your eyes get watery or something, and then the white in the waterline starts to just move a little bit. I mean, it's nothing crazy when it happens, but I like to just put that white there so that, you know, there's a boundary there and it looks intentional if it does start to migrate. And some people like to use highlight, shimmery highlight. I don't like using shimmery highlight. That's not my favorite. Sometimes I do it if the look calls for it, if I have other eyeshadow. But I really like to use the soft white. I think I saw Arnell Armand do it first. And that's because it's just so soft. It's subtle, right? I feel like with the glitters and the shimmers and the highlight, it started to look crusty. And I didn't like that. So I like the white. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go add my lashes. Like I said, I'm not leaving you hanging. If you want to know more about the waterline, you want to know how I apply it, what is safe that I've used in the waterline, what colors. I have a waterline 101 video, how to apply lashes video. I even have eyeliner videos if you want to know more about eyeliner. I'm here for you, okay? And I'm going to go add the lashes. I'm going to do the lip. The lip is going to be its own separate video because I think it's really hot and it needs a moment. It needs a moment. So I'm going to go do those finishing touches and we'll be right back. Okay, so the lips are on. If you want to know how I did my lips, I made a whole separate tutorial for that. It's very, very quick. Last thing. We're going to do my little beauty marks. So this is the Benefit Roller Liner eyeliner. You can use any eyeliner you want. I used to use black eyeliner, but now I did the brown and I was like, this is less harsh. And sometimes with the black eyeliner, I would make a mess. And it's just way easier if you have a brown liner. And what I do is I just kind of add little dots all around my face. Usually I have a whole scientific reason and technique and I can explain to you exactly why I like the way something looks. This right here, I can't explain it. I just like to do it. Okay, we're gonna do just a smidgen of bottom mascara. I'm currently trying to find bottom mascara that it does not get all over my face because I have been struggling. The ragdolls on Instagram have been telling me, you know, to try too big mascara, so maybe I'll make a video doing that. But lately, I think it's because my eyelash is getting so long. It gets all underneath my eye, so I'm gonna quickly just add some here. There we go. Here is our final look. If you enjoyed this look, if you enjoyed just being here with me, please give this video a like and subscribe down below. We are almost at 45,000 subscribers, which is almost 50, which is almost the big 100,000. 1,000. And I'm very, very excited to have you here. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have anything that you want to see next, I know that the ragdolls on Instagram want to see a warm orange base. So maybe I'll do a warm orange base next. Some eyeshadow, whatever you want to see, please let me know down below. I love suggestions and recommendations. They make my job really easy. If you tell me your needs, it's easier to meet your needs. So let me know down below. And if you try out anything on this face or you just want to see more of me, you can check me out on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. On TikTok, I have a bucket list series where I try different foods, activities, cuisines, all the sorts. So come hang out with me on the other socials. I also post a lot in the community tab. We be chit-chatting. Me and the ragdolls, we locked in. But thanks so much for watching this video. I also am going to be doing this exact makeup base on my mom. So wait for that video. So go check that out. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.